Okay. Hey guys, I'm gonna go live just a little bit early because there's a couple of things I want to let you know about before we bring our guest in tonight. So first off, welcome to this live, or welcome to the post production video a little bit later on. Um, we just had 2,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which I think is pretty cool. My goal for the end of 2024 is 2,500. And as you're watching this, make sure to be active in the chat. I'm going to do my best to be, responsive there. I will make an actual like question and answer session so you guys can actually talk to John. Having said all of that, um, the monetization of this channel is to benefit um, a veterans-based nonprofit. And so any donation or anything that goes on, whether from the super chats or super thanks or just watch time in general, is going to go to a veterans nonprofit organization, which I've mentioned before, and I've actually had them on this before. But if you have not heard of Mind Overland, make sure to check them out. So um, now we're all good. So yeah, I'm going to bring in John. He is the founder of the Overlander Project, and we're going to kind of get to talking about that. So let me add you, John. Should be good to go. There he is.
What's happening, Russ?
Hey, what's up, man?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, buddy. So old man, old truck is here, and just John, if you can help me out, make sure that we are glancing at this the chat thing. You should be able to see it as well, I think. If not, let me know, and I'll make sure to call people out on whatever they ask, or that kind of stuff. So yeah, introduce yourself, man.
Hi, I'm John Eller with the Overlander Project. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, what is the Overlander Project? I've never heard of
Um,
that. What is it?
right, I hear you.
Yeah.
So, me and a couple buddies back in 2018, we got together and we started the Overlander Project as an outdoor adventure company.
Nice.
Where we were going to do events and put people together and let them, just kind of experience the things that we were doing. And that's kind of how it was born. Jeffrey and he's based out of Hickory here as well. He and I were
Mhm.
kayaking down the French Broad River one day, and we started talking about it, and bam, we created it.
Nice. So what did that look like? I mean, granted, it was 2018, so that was kind of the apex of the explosion of the overland community, right? So,
Yeah,
well timing or good timing on that for sure. But yeah, people have been going camping or car camping or whatever you want to call it for like the longest period of time. But back 2017, 18, 19, and especially in 2020 when everything else was shut down, it just exploded.
yeah.
With the good timing, how did you turn that, or the vision and turning it into a company in a way to introduce people that are varying experience levels? Tell me about that, like the startup of the company, and what were you doing before before the whole Overlander project thing happened?
Yeah. Well, um, I was in scouts. I took that about as far as I could take it, and I've always, been a huge camper, adventurer, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, so I've always had people like I feel like my entire life always want me to take them somewhere, and that was the idea behind the Overlander project is that we could form a company, get the insurance and get everything we needed to take people out
Hmm.
properly.
Yeah.
It was funny, in 2018, our first stab at it was called the Overland Rally or the Overlander
Hmm.
Rally, and we were trying to piggyback off of the Overland uh, Expo East, which was
Oh
there at
yeah.
the time. It was at Rebranch there in Hendersonville. That's when all that
Hmm.
rain came.
Oh
And
yeah.
we'd printed up some business cards, on like paper at home, like tearaways, and we'd
Hmm.
put them underneath people's wiper blades, and just trying to simultaneously do like a rally during that event. And we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't get one person to show up.
Well,
So,
you still had a good time, right?
oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay, that's it.
yeah. And then COVID hit, and that kind of gave us a little injection of energy. And
Mhm.
I think the first time we had anybody sign up for an event was our Adventure Summit, which is our premier fall event, was October of 2020. So
Yeah.
that was really the first event that we held was then.
Man, you guys have had what I'm going to call explosive growth over the last 4 years, right? So since then, um, since that, I'm going to call it your second event, but your first actual event, when you had people sign up and go and do these things. I mean, now it's like every single time you guys have an event, like I mean, you're up right here. I'm looking at the Overlander Expedition, which is like your next one coming up, I believe. Um, you might have one before that, but that one sold out already. It's like three of the events that I have seen just on your website have already sold out. The OBX you guys are doing, and you guys have got a lot of things coming up for sure as far as events, and we'll definitely get to that. But uh, from that first experience, what did you learn from that first thing? So, like starting your company, you didn't have anybody show up the first time. Second time, what was that like?
It was good. It felt good that people wanted to come and experience what you were offering. And that was one of the main ideas, or one of the goals, was to give people that experience.
Hmm.
Um, those guys that I started the company with, Andrew and Jeffrey, they're in their 50s like myself. So, they've done things, and we all talked about, that the younger generation, that's what's important to them, is the
Hmm.
experience. So we tried to create that, something a little different, because there's a ton of events going on.
Sure.
We just wanted to offer something a little better and something more memorable.
Something that's more engaging and hands-on. And I've seen the like tour groups or guided rides and stuff like that here over in Asheville. We have like the Asheville Jeep tours, which I'm not going to talk anything negative about them, but they have made an incredible business out of the tourism that's within Asheville and everything else. It's not necessarily, in my view, like a Jeep experience, but to most people who have never been in a four-wheel drive vehicle, like going down the Blue Ridge Parkway and a couple of Forest Service roads is like a major thing. I remember back when I was living in Florida, I had somebody that I worked with, a coworker, that had a Jeep and had never taken it off road. And the first time that she hit all four wheels on dirt, like was giddy as all get out. Like, I mean, she couldn't like talk without smiling or laughing for the next week, just because of the way it makes you feel when you drive that vehicle as it's or in its intended environment. But when you go on these expeditions or these adventures, kind of walk me through what people would learn, because yet there's an educational element to it. There's obviously an entertainment uh, element to it as well. Uh, but once you sign up for one of these things, what could somebody expect?
Well, backing up just a little bit, I think I've had like a unique history that kind of laid the groundwork for doing this for me. Right out of high school, I didn't go to college, so I ended up driving a tow truck for
Mhm,
11 years. So, during that decade of time, I don't know how many recoveries I ended up doing. So, you know, I feel like, when I offer an event for people, that they're in the best hands that they possibly can be. There's no
mhm,
situation or any kind of problem that would arise that we couldn't take care of. Um,
right.
and I feel like, delivering that type of confidence and offering a person that may be new to all this, like you said,
Mhm.
car camping. That's really what overlanding is. It's just car camping reinvented with a cooler name. Um, offering them that experience and letting them know that they're in good hands.
Right.
Um, I think that's more than half the battle. Um, but what we try to offer that camaraderie. Um, give them that experience. We try to do, genre specific um, live music, in most of
Mhm,
our events. And then, most recently, we've been trying to add, good food. Um,
mhm.
you've been to off road events, for quite a while yourself. And it seems like every one of those, they always give you like a little bit of barbecue and a dollop of coleslaw. So we don't want to
Yeah,
do that. We want to offer a little better food than that.
right.
And then, give them some swag that's event specific. People like that. Everybody likes a good T-shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I think you're like me or a lot of people from this area. We're always trying to get out west. Because it's so dramatically different than what we have here.
sure.
Um, but Western North Carolina or North Carolina as a whole, and Western North Carolina specifically, is it's like this little Garden of Eden. We've got
Oh,
so
yeah.
much to
I'm
offer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
what
we've even got a little bit of dunes, like from the coastal area to the Piedmont region to kind of where I live, which is in between Black Mountain and the Smoky Mountain National Park. So you've got various styles of off-roading that's here, and then when you get like the Smoky Mountains go right up to Tennessee. So I mean, you have everything from 3,500 feet above sea level, and Grandfather Mountain and Mount Mitchell are even higher than that, but all the way over to the coast, I mean, you've got, you know, you're at sea level. So, I mean, it's there and everything in between. We get the seasons. We're technically a rainforest where I live. So, I mean, it's crazy beautiful in this state, and that's the reason why I moved here, is to get up into the mountains and experience that because I was living in Florida, and then I was driving to North Georgia, where a good bit of my off-roading friends live, central North Georgia. So just to the east of Atlanta. So all the way up to like Raven County and that area, going through that, doing the Georgia Traverse and stuff. Yes, you do see various uh, differences in the terrain, but for the most part, it is that's the only region of Florida, or sorry, of Georgia, up until the Georgia Adventure Trail came out. Which I mean, obviously
right?
that's south to north versus east to west or west to east, and that's a whole different ball game. That's like muddy and slushy, and all kinds of different terrain as well. But um, I thoroughly enjoyed this state, but getting out west, having been to California, having been to Colorado and Moab and those places, it made me appreciate where I live a lot more
Sure,
because I've had those experiences. So when you take somebody who has little to no experience off-roading, I think it's a really good idea, and I'm sure you have people come from different parts of the southeast or parts of the country to be a part of this, especially if you do a lot of recruitment or get your name out there uh, on the internet or through these events that are regional. Um, they want to experience something like they're going to experience when they go home to give them the right tool set.
yeah,
I don't think it would be very effective for somebody to set up an off-roading school of sorts or an off-roading excursion going up Fordyce, and then you come back home and it's just going to be, or come back over here. It's just not the same.
sure.
So I very much appreciate what you guys are doing, and you're reaching out to every corner of uh, the sport. And I've called this a sport before because it really is. Um, you have a piece of equipment. You have to have technical skill to be able to overcome obstacles or challenges that are put in front of you. Whether that be a flat tire or a broken axle shaft, like you've got to be able to figure that out. Um, Along with being self-sufficient, knowing how to camp, potentially knowing how to canoe or get yourself um, equipped and capable to go through whatever scenario that might come your way. And that's why I'm a really big fan of the Artemis Rally. I'm really a really big fan of a lot of the events that you put together. Um, so I know you've got some even bigger things coming up. So you're planning for, I think, the Baja stuff, and then the Africa South expedition. Talk about that for a second.
The I've done like freelance work for BF Goodrich Tires. I think real close to 40 years.
Hmm.
From tire testing, events, Dakar, and BF Goodrich offers a pit support through their BF Goodrich Motorsports or their racing division.
Hmm.
So, like if you and I decided we were going to race the Baja, they wouldn't sponsor us. They wouldn't give us tires or money, But
Right.
if we made it to Baja and we were on those tires, we would get free pit support.
Right.
So, I don't know, I've lost count how many times I've been down on the peninsula in Baja, but I think it's 26 or 27 times.
Wow.
And that's another case. People just want to know, how about Baja, Baja, Baja? And I was like, well, let's go. I'll put together a trip, and
Yeah.
I, I feel like I know that peninsula pretty well. And I remember going the first time myself. It was just, you're out of the country, you're down there in the desert. It's just, I don't know, you just can't describe that feeling. So
Sure.
I think there's one person that's joining us this year that helped me or was with us, for the BFG stuff. But I think everybody else going, and they're spread out from all over the U.S. It's their first time, so I'm excited
Yeah.
for them
Yeah,
to
that's
check that
super
out.
cool. That's super cool. So in preps for that, like, are there? I mean, I go to Canada for work quite a bit, but I don't necessarily have to cross the border with a vehicle or with produce or food or anything like that. And we just have to declare those things, whether it's the Canadian border or the Mexican border. What is the border crossing situation like for you guys in general? Because a lot of times when you're overlanding, you want to be prepared as possible, but there's an element of surprise, I guess, when it comes down there and you're like, yeah, well, half your food you can't bring into the country. You've
Yeah,
got to you've got to resupply once you get over the border. Uh, what's that like?
it's I think what it all, I think really what it boils down to is that those soldiers and then those the policia and the federales and all that. I think
Hmm.
that they think we're cool. Typically we're
Yeah.
in vehicles that are out of the normal, and they like that stuff. And
Hmm.
maybe they don't have some of those things that we have. So I think that they want that. So I think when you get pulled over at the border as you cross into Baja, they just out of curiosity they want to see what's
Want to
in
check
your
it out?
vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've I took my van and trailer down one time, and they just went through the whole thing,
Yeah.
just looking at stuff like that. And then I remember, years ago, maybe a couple of decades ago, one of the BF Goodrich drivers told me, he said they just want a little bit of what you have. So,
Yeah.
that's he talked about the stickers, which the locals down there called stickers.
Yeah.
You give them stickers like that, or I've had a lot of luck with like Monster Energy drinks or
Yeah.
Red
Yeah.
Bulls. And they
Hmm.
they get up to the vehicle and you open the cooler and start handing those out to those young soldiers.
Yeah.
And man, it's like you gave them a Ferrari. They're
Well, I
they're
mean,
good.
it's really crazy. I'm not going to stick on this topic too much because it's obviously a very polarizing topic for a lot of people, especially within the community. But I will say this: kindness goes a long way, and that goes
Yeah,
no matter where you travel, no matter what country, no matter where you go. Kindness goes a really long way. So
sure.
that gesture of kindness will get you a lot further than being argumentative or just trying to be, scared and shaking and gripping the steering wheel and whatever else and uncooperative. Let them do their job, smile and laugh, and then go off and have a really good time on
Yeah,
what is essentially a beautiful beach filled peninsula with some crazy places that has always been attractive to me, like, going down there and doing that. I had a goal in my 20s where I was gonna really try my best to run, like, the races and do, like, drive a trophy truck or whatever else, but, I'm not a millionaire, I don't have that option, um, and I don't have a racing family or racing relationships and things like that, but I will say, like, it's still amazing when you watch that, or you mentioned the Dakar Rally, like watching those kind of things and the amazing feat that people have to go through, those challenges to go through. And then on a much smaller scale, we have a 3-day weekend where we want to drive from one side of the state to the other and maybe camp 2 nights and then drive
right,
home.
right.
So, so I think a lot of the overland community like way overcomplicates something that is rather simple. Um, but there's a lot of simplicity is often, tied to truth, and when truth is tied to nature, it's even better. So, going out, knowing how to do the simple survival skills to get yourself through and be self sufficient, make yourself not only just sustenance but an actual proper meal. Share that with others. Share stories with others around the campfire.
Right.
It is a feeling and experience that everybody should at least experience once in their life, at least in my opinion. Um, so your company, putting together the Overlander Project, is definitely helping people to do that. But you have also gone grandiose, right? I mean, you've gone grandiose when it comes to the vehicles, some of the vehicles that you've built over over the years. And I mean, talk about some of your vehicles. I know you had the van. What else are you running?
Yeah, I have a four-wheel drive store that I've had. I'm in my 28th year, and a good many of those years, I like to buy vehicles and fix them up, flip them like you
Hmm.
would a house or something.
Sure.
And I got real big into Broncos, back in the 90s, and I still like them, all the body styles. And that's really what I grew up in was a full size Bronco.
Hmm.
Had the opportunity to take one of those to compete in Africa in the Sahara back in '95, and then I've had
Nice.
Jeeps and this and that. Um, the van, the van idea was born out of your backyard there, with you
Yeah,
join
you
off
joined.
road. Yeah,
Yeah, they're really
so
cool
he's
guys over there.
yeah, they are a really nice guy. Chris, I think he's originally from New York, and then he spent some
Yeah.
time on the West Coast. But yeah, I've always wanted one of those vans, and I happened across one that had the diesel, the 7.3 liter Power Stroke,
Mhm.
and I built that, bought the kit from him, and then built it there at our shop, and you know that's been like the poster child for Overlander Project because
Sure.
whether you like vans or not, it's attention getting. I've
Oh,
had
for sure.
for yeah. And honestly, my roots are in off-roading, and that
Mhm.
van, I don't know if it's because of the weight of that engine or the wheelbase or just a combination of all that, but that van goes really, really well off-road. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if anybody that's watching this or will watch in the future watches, Ultimate Adventure or anything like that, but, I mean, if a van can go through that, there's pretty much nothing that you're gonna throw at it, that it
yeah,
can't do, and, Chris's shop is less than a mile and a half from my house. I went down there, my brother-in-law came up to visit, and, he's big into RV life or whatever, and I'm like, "You just wait, let's go hang out with
check
Chris
these
for a
out.
little while." And he was like on the phone with Chris for like a couple solid weeks. Like, what can we do? How can we do this? And I'm not sure about the evolution of what I'm gonna do, but um, I really like the idea of a schoolie.
Yeah,
Of like doing an off-road schoolie, but it's not practical for city driving, obviously. But going off-road with the wife and the dog and living in absolute comfort, when you're camping and going to those things. I mean, it's beautiful, and honestly, I mean, if we decide to retire at one point, it's still enough to live in and live the RV life and go across the country. Um,
right.
so I'm not knocking those vans, man. They're amazing. The 6-inch lift, the Dynatrac axles. He's working with a couple of different axle companies now, with his kits, his custom bumpers, like everything that they're doing to build the U joint off road that's right here is just amazing. They're doing an awesome job, expanding the shop. Anyway, the point is you have one of the vans from with one of its kits, and
Yeah,
that's what you're rocking on the trail. Um, but would you have any aspirations to do like the rover kind of side of things, or like the Unimog kind of situation? Like, what are your plans for overlanding for yourself?
yeah. Um, I dabbled in the rovers. I had some Series twos back in the day. I had a '69 and I think a '70. Those were the body styles where the headlights were back in the grill, and the grill was
Mhm,
set back with that little cavity in the front for like a 8274 winch or something. Um,
mhm.
I like the way the Rovers look. I don't like the reliability or typically what's associated with them.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if I'll have any of those in the future. And far as like a Unimog goes, I did just recently purchase what they call a Stewart and Stevenson truck, which
Oh, nice.
was
Yeah.
yeah, it took the place of the Vietnam era, the Deuce and a Half,
Hmm.
and it's built in Texas, but it's got a German cab on it, built by a company called Steyr Motor Company or Steyr Trucks.
Right.
So the cab on it looks like it's similar to a Unimog, and that's what was I was drawn to.
Hmm.
But I wanted, wanted to build a world class expedition rig, and this thing's massive. It's got like a big, huge communication box on it, and I put a
Yeah.
bump out on the rear for the sleeping berth, and I think it's tipping the scales at like 22,000 pounds.
Good
Um,
Lord.
yeah, and I'm not even finished. I haven't even put all the dishes and stuff in it yet, but
Yeah.
it's got 47-inch tires, and I don't know, Russ. I don't know how practical that's going to be on this coast. Um, the novelty's kind of wearing off already. I'll probably finish it up and send it to auction because it belongs out west
Yeah.
somewhere, really, where they don't have any trees like we do.
Yeah, do you think that that's like, I mean, kind of going back to the RVing thing, I think it's really interesting. A lot of people don't know this, even with the diesel engines, especially. This is especially true for the big gasser RVs. Um, did it? I mean, you could watch driving on the highway. You can watch that needle just go.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
they get 0 miles per gallon. I mean, it's absolutely inefficient for long travel, and so a large portion of a large vehicle is the weight and fuel required to get it to move, especially if you don't have 4 47-inch tires, right? You've
Right.
got like what, 6 or 8 or 12 of them,
Yeah.
and they're, I mean, they're huge, and they're heavy, and a lot of people don't understand the practicality of that. But at the same time, if you had an RV and a house, which wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but if you do, so many people do, because they like to do cross country travel or go down to um, go to a different part of the country for the summer or the winter time. It's not exactly practical when it comes to cost, um, but it is really cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
will say
definitely
it.
agree with that.
It is super cool to build something and to create something, whether it's gonna go to auction or whether you enjoy it yourself, whether you build it here and export it, somewhere else, for the more, um, I guess, a better suited environment, for that kinda thing. But I still think it's super cool that you're getting yourself the experience or giving yourself the experience of going through and building these things, sharing that out there, to other people, and then, yeah, if you can build something, enjoy it for a bit, and sell it to get your money back or a little bit more while you're working on other things, um, I don't see a reason not to do it. You know,
Yeah. Right.
I'm not a financial advisor, so nobody take my advice on finances, but I mean, it's just one of those things. Um, I don't know. Jeeps aren't practical either. Like, I've spent way more money. I've probably bought 3 Jeeps and put it into 1,
Right.
just over time. So I'm not saying it's practical. It's fun, it's a hobby, it's something, but it's still cheaper than golf in my opinion. So I mean, that's just kind of where
Sure.
it's at. Um, but, uh talking about like kind of bringing it back home, like you've got the international events, you've got, you're in planning phases for a major international overseas event, not just going down to Baja. And I'm not talking down on Baja, I'm just saying that that's, you cross a border by land, so technically you could overland to overland. um,
Right.
Going overseas is something completely different. Shipping your vehicle, getting all of the right permits and clearances, and sometimes that can take up to 3 months to get your vehicle where it actually needs to be, at the particular time you need to do it. It's super complicated. It can be super expensive and super risky. So, what is the driving force for Africa South?
A few things on that one. I think I mentioned earlier in the conversation, back in the '90s, I had the opportunity to do what they called Warren Challenge.
Mhm.
which was in the Sahara. We went through the Atlas Mountains, yada yada yada. And back then, we got sponsored by Ford, and
Right.
they ended up flying our. We had three big Broncos, and they flew them over to Madrid, and then we got to drive them down and cross the Mediterranean, and um, talking about shipping them and permits. You know, after the event, we did what they called Ro-Ro, which is roll on, roll off, where you drive the
Mhm.
vehicles on the deck and they ship them that way. So they put them on a ship to bring them back, and they got lost. And that was
Mm.
my daily driver.
Oh,
At the
no.
time I was driving the yeah, I was
You're
driving
daily
my tow
driving a
truck,
race car.
and they really weren't race cars. They had 35-inch tires and Rancho lift kits on them. But anyway, they got lost. So they were lost for
Yeah.
6 months, and they ended up in a port down in Valparaiso, Chile. I don't know
Oh
how
my
that happened.
goodness.
But they finally made their way back up to Norfolk, and we picked them up there. But fast forward to your question about what's fueling the trip this time. Um, I got a business partner, and he's a contractor, and he and I
Mhm.
share a building.
Mhm.
And he hired this guy. His name's Skulk, and it's spelled like chalk, but with an S in front of
Right.
it. And he's here to ultimately he wants to move down to Texas and work on his buddy's ranch. I think he's got a 5,000-acre ranch in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, right. But anyway, he grew up in the bush. He's been a bushman his entire adult life.
Mm.
He's had unique experiences, and I just sat there and listened to his stories, day in and day out about running from rhinos and hanging out. And he told me he said my mother holds the world's record for um, the largest elephant at 110 pounds. And I said, say that again. And he was talking about the tusk. There's a 110
Oh,
pound
yeah, okay.
tusk. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Still,
anyway,
that's huge.
yeah. So I feel pretty confident with him, and he talks about putting a trip together. And unfortunately, we're not going to take our vehicles on this first one. We're going to end up
Right.
renting like a Hilux,
Yeah.
and which is pretty pricey doing that. But he talks about you can get a Hilux over there with a rooftop tent on the roof, and then you can
Mhm.
get one with a tent on the bed rack. So then you can split that cost between two couples.
For
Two
sure.
on the roof, yeah, and two on the bed, and I guess you could just share, split the driving task, so you got that
Mhm.
experience. So I feel pretty confident with him holding our hand, and then his father is still over there doing it. He's supposed to
Mhm.
catch up with us in Botswana or just north of Johannesburg there. So that's just an opportunity that would be crazy not to take advantage of.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the my wife and I are gonna go to Scotland, in September, and
Heck yeah,
we wanna go to the Highlands and do, like, I don't think that we wanna do the North Coast 500, which is really, like, the touristy route, kinda thing, but when I was looking at vehicles, versus hotels, which are obviously gonna be really hard to come by, especially in the North, or the Highlands, I thought about I didn't want to do van life kind of stuff because ever since that route was created for tourism to bring more people from outside of the country into the country to tour, the locals really don't like the van lifers like coming in and taking up like they call them the park ups, right? So you
right,
think of it as a
sure,
trailhead. They don't like those people very much, especially if they don't follow the rules like exactly. And so I was trying to figure out a way how to get off the beaten path, and most of the vans and the rental vehicles that you can get, to hire a vehicle, as they would say, um, there's really not a lot of 4x4 options. There are luxury four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicles, but there are not a lot of expedition style vehicles that are available. Um, so I'm still going back and forth about what to do, but it is still way more affordable than just paying for hotels or accommodations everywhere you want to go. Plus, it's a lot more fun. I mean, I would get the experience of driving on the left hand side of the road and potentially even like a manual, a six-shift vehicle. And yes, I can drive that. I'm not too young for that.
shift with your
So
left arm there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's gotta be tricky. Not only on the left-hand side of the road, but now, like, the clutch is in the same spot, but shifting with your left hand, like, that's weird, and it's gonna take me a minute, to really understand how all that works, while trying to navigate us around the entire country. So,
Right.
it'll be an experience. It's not an overlanding or whatever, but it will be an experience for sure that I can't wait to do. But I'm super excited to hear your stories about whenever that the South Africa happens or Africa South thing happens next. But before we go here, just a couple of things I want to ask you. Um, what expeditions or what projects you guys have going on? I want to look at this real quick and go back to the events. The next one you guys have going on. The first 2 are sold out, but I really wanna draw attention to the Artemis Rally. I mean, you've got it right there behind you. Tell us about what the Artemis Rally is.
Um, so back to the touching on the Africa thing back in the mid '90s, there was a guy here in town. His name was Bob Hazel, and
Mhm,
he's really the guy that kind of invented rock crawling. Back in the day, and he's the guy that was responsible for getting us to Africa. But he created these things called the Safari Triathlons, and they were
mhm,
down in the Ocala. And you would, back then you didn't have GPS. You'd use like a 7.5 minute, topographical map, that looked
mhm.
like a poster, like
Yeah.
24 by 30. You'd lay it out and you'd plot your navigation, kind of like they do in the Rebel. Um,
Mhm,
and then there was canoeing, and he had shooting trap, shooting skeet with 12 gauge shotguns.
mhm,
So that's where that whole idea was born. And then, we tried to do it with our 24-hour series. We had a 24 hours of Uwari, and then we had one in Windrock. And
mhm,
then we were all keyed up and had everything in place to do one at 24 hours of Colorado, which was going to be based out of Buena Vista there,
mhm,
working your way back up towards Denver. But that whole idea behind adventure, um, and women, I don't really feel like anybody cares when you get a bunch of men together, but everybody watches, both men and women, when you get women together doing arguably cool things. So
mhm.
that was the idea behind Artemis, to have every little facet in that, between axe throwing, canoeing, shooting skeet, with low brass 12 gauge, AR type rifles, handguns, zip lining, whitewater rafting, um, again, the navigation, and do the stuff like the tire changes,
Mhm.
um, use your winch. Last year we came up with the idea to do a car flip. Probably done
Yeah.
that several hundred times as a tow truck operator, but no one else really gets the opportunity to do that, to turn a car over.
Right.
So I think it's an opportunity. Artemis is an opportunity to empower women and let them
Mhm.
take center stage for a while. Because you've got, in like the off-road community, it's historically always the male at the helm. He's leading the
Yeah.
way, and then the girlfriend or the wife, they follow along. They enjoy it, but they don't really get to enjoy it, or to enjoy the notoriety like the husband or the male does. So
Right.
that's what Artemis is for. It's to let the women shine and do their thing. And we've only had it 1 year, and that was last year, and it was a tremendous success. You know,
Yeah. So I mean, you had Pam Hall come out and really kind of work with you guys a lot as far as get the information out there and letting know what's going on. And I mean, she's a celebrity, obviously, when it comes to the
sure.
off-road world, and that was really cool. But it was really cool to see people from all over the place coming together, like from all parts of the country. You had locals like Daisy Maxey, and you had people from Florida. I think Alicia was part of that. Ricky's wife from
Yeah.
whatever their 4x4 shop is down there,
Jeepers
Jeepers
Den.
Den. Yeah, so like I mean, they from all over the country, people coming in and doing these kind of things, and really taking center stage. And I think that that's really important. Whether you're watching this now or later and you think that, like, this is a boys sport or a men's sport, whatever, like, you can just unsubscribe to my channel right now. Like, I mean, this sport is for absolutely everybody.
Sure.
Everybody who wants to learn about it. I'll be here to show you about it. I know John will be there to show you, and instruct you. And it doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, what sex you are, you're welcome in this community to go out and enjoy our public lands, our nature and everything else, to become self-sufficient in the ways of camping, overlanding, fishing, hunting, all of these things. There should be no restriction when it comes to that. So, uh, putting this event together, I thought it was really amazing that you guys did that, taking the concepts of the competition and bringing that into, like, I just think it's really cool. It's not just a class. It's not like a lecture. It's a full on experience and a really fun time.
Yeah.
So if you guys are watching this a little bit later on, make sure to go and check out the videos from the last Artemis rally. I think you guys will really enjoy that, as well as the 24 hours of URI, 24 hours of Windrock, and past events as well. Um, but I want to give John a little bit of time now, just in case anybody is in there. Um, Name screen. I don't know if you're hiding who you are, but um, somebody said you need a couples challenge event. Um, I do know that, like, Fully Mission Capable for a while had some off-road games, and those are really, really, really fun to watch. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to encourage him to bring that back. But what do you think, John? What do you think about a couples challenge?
It's probably a good idea. You've got those rock solid couples that do everything together. Um, it's probably a pretty good idea. Let them go out there and show the rest of the world what they can do as a couple.
Hmm.
Um, Heck yeah, I'm down for it.
So there you go, name screen, or whoever you are. Comment what your name is, and we'll make sure that we reach out to you. Um, but John, I want to give you a few minutes to just, if anybody has any other questions, obviously let me know. Put them in the comments there. I'll try to get to those here in a second. But um, if I haven't touched on it yet, what do people need to know about you, your company, like, Overlander Project, and what's going on? Just give me give me the deets.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we said earlier, we've got a whole inventory of different events. Um, you know, it seems like our target audience is, the new people that are standing on the sideline that want to get out and do some type of adventure, but they just don't really know how to do it.
Hmm.
Um, we're your people for that. So check out one of our events. We'll take you on an experience and we'll get you hooked for sure. And then all you seasoned overlanders and you seasoned off-roaders, we welcome you guys too. Um, yeah, we love the different walks of life that end up at our events. And we also love how, the friendships are often born at our events. They've become lifelong friends.
Sure.
And most definitely happened with Artemis. Some of those women were meeting each other for the first time, and I think they're still close. You go through
Yeah.
something like that together. But yeah, whether it's we've got the Overlander expedition that's coming up in 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. That's Western North Carolina. We're going to start there in Old
Mhm.
Fort, um, work our way over to southwest of Brevard. We've got some private property hidden away for one night, and then the second night's going to come back, towards Asheville,
Mhm.
and then we have a mirror image of that event. That's called the Autumn Expedition Summit. That's at the
Right.
uh, peak
The
season for colors
Like
in the North Carolina
fall
mountains. Yep.
color run kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we might run, the Overlander Expedition in reverse, and that'll be the
Mhm.
Autumn Expedition Summit. So we got
Nice.
that, and then the Come One Come All is the Adventure Summit, which is the last weekend in October. Typically, it's right there at Halloween.
Mhm.
That's in a big field. So if you like events like that, we usually have a vendor row and then, different music on both Friday and Saturday night. and then food trucks, and then it's festival style camping, like out in a
Sure.
meadow. Yeah, so
Right.
I think most people like those. And then, this is the first year we're doing Expedition Appalachia, which is in West Virginia, and we got
Mhm.
a guy up there. His name's Jerry Bain. He's one of his best friends is a senator for West Virginia, and he
Mm.
probably knows, uh, the state of West Virginia better than I know the state of North Carolina. So he's going to be at the helm of that one for us, and he's going to take us to visit the town of it's spelled Bramwell, but I think it's pronounced
Mhm.
Bramwell. But anyway, that's supposedly where coal mining started. We're going to tour that and talk to one of the last year or the last time we spoke to the mayor, but we're going to speak to one of the locals this year. We're going to jump in these little train cars and go underground and tour an old coal mine,
That's
and then
cool.
that is cool. We're going to jump in these jet boats and run up the new river underneath that iconic bridge.
Mhm.
So that's cool. And then he's also got an abandoned amusement park. Um, it's supposedly
Dude, that's
haunted.
let
One
me
of the
see if
stories.
let me see if it's sold out. Is it sold out yet? Yeah.
Yeah,
D
it's got
darn it.
that
Alright.
that amusement park
Fine.
supposedly.
Fine. I was just gonna sign up for it right now.
Yeah, supposedly that amusement park, there was a group of scouts there, Boy Scouts, and they got on a bus for a group photo, and there was an extra kid in the photo. So that's about as
That's
creepy and
kinda creepy. Yeah, it's kinda
like
creepy.
whose kid is
It
this?
it's Photoshop is what it is. No, no, it's not. That why is he so pale? Yeah, because he's got the same skin type as me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I hear you.
man, you really need to like I want to see videos from that kind of stuff because that sounds like a really, really, really fun adventure. Um, definitely. So that one's sold out. Baja sold out. So Overland 101, June 29th, 2024. Then the four, that one's open. Artemis Rally 2024 is open. And then the autumn expedition is still open. Everything else you got sold out. So if you're watching this right now, sign up. Just sign up for something because it's going to go fast. John's only one person. I know he's got a great team behind him, but there's limited so that the experience could be impactful and concentrated, and you get the attention and the coaching and guidance that you might want or need. So sign up. That's all I'm saying. You don't. There's only like less than half of the events are open still, so make sure you do that. And John, I'm looking forward to going to West Virginia in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Tennessee next weekend with the Southern Four Wheel Drive Association leads some trail at Coldmont OHV.
Nice.
It used to be like the Uwharrie Trail Fest, but it was at Uwharrie for a couple of years. Now it's going to be at Coldmont this year, so I'm excited to be a part of that. So if you guys are watching and you want to be part of that, there's still some spaces available. Not a lot, but there are some spaces available to be a part of that. And then I'm finally going to go do Potts Mountain Jeep Trail at the end of the month. Gonna go with just a few rigs. I think a Gladiator, my Jeep, and maybe an old flat fender. Like,
Heck yeah.
so we're just gonna see what happens there because I've heard
Will
West
you have
Virginia.
video of that when it's done?
Potentially. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I'm enjoying this live series so much, like in getting different people from different aspects of the industry or the sport or whatever to come in and talk and share their thoughts versus me just trying to be like some kind of dude with a Jeep, that does the
Yeah,
same things everybody else. And I've noticed that um I'm not taking credit for this because people have been doing this a lot, like Jeep Talk Show and a couple of other things. But I love this format because it engages immediately, not only just with like you and me, but anybody else who's watching it right now. But it also has the same engagement as any other kind of video that's out there
right.
on the platform. To where people can comment, ask questions, sign up, get the information. I can put stuff in the description and things like that. Um, I'm enjoying this so much that I'm not I mean, yes, I am still going to film things and put that out there, but I never I want people to understand this. this channel is monetized, but every cent that this channel gets is going to a nonprofit. Whether that's going to be a consistent relationship with a single nonprofit or if it's going to change annually, that is what I want to do. I want to use this as a platform to educate, entertain, uh, potentially entertain, because I know I'm boring. But I do want people to get some value out of this. And if they give value back to this channel in the terms of money, I have to pay taxes on it.
Right.
So, I've got to pay taxes on it. That's fine. But I'm donating every bit of it. Every bit of the earnings that are on here on this channel are going to go and help a nonprofit. This year, it's Mind Over Land. I said that in the very beginning of this video. They are a veterans-based nonprofit organizations that does very similar things to what you are doing. They take veterans that have been overseas or on active duty and they reacclimate them back into the community through an
Mhm.
overland experience that is completely paid for. Um, so by the donations and everything else, it costs about $150 to take each of these veterans out on one of their excursions. So they take them on the at routes, like the Trans America Trail sections. So the Kentucky Adventure Trail, the Georgia Adventure Trail, Florida Adventure Trail, those kind of things. That's what they do. Um, and I just thought that that was a really amazing idea. So I want to support that. Um,
Heck yeah.
anyway, sorry, I'm not going away from Artemis Rally or anything Overlander Project kind of focus, but I just want people to know that. So you asked about filming the video. I don't want this channel to be. I don't want to be the dude that's just like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Like I'm
Right.
not that kind of guy in general. Um, I want to invite and promote others that are in this community doing really great work, providing education, advice, and services for other people inside of the industry. So we can just build this community better. And
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. So I
Well,
guess
I
the
like your
short,
format. To what you were saying, this format of this one-on-one thing, the live. I
yeah,
watched the one with Travis in its entirety, and I really enjoyed that. And prior to that, I'd flip in and out, get
yeah.
distracted on something else. But I like the ones where you're outside, and you got a fire going and you're drinking some bourbon or something. That's
Well,
good stuff.
the bourbon's here, but yeah, it's a little too warm to have the fire right now. It's a little bit cold tonight. I probably could have, but yeah, that was the intent. Moving back in here into my office is just super convenient because I can shut the door. My dog's not involved,
Right,
in
right.
anything. It's totally cool. But John, I just want to say thank you again for coming on and participating in this. I hope that this video gets some engagement. Um, and people will sign up and continue on so that if I can be of any help or service or whatever, providing information about the Overlander project, I definitely want to do that. I definitely really like what you guys are doing, and I'm gonna get along on one of those adventures sometime when they're
Heck
not
yeah.
sold out already. So yeah,
Well, man, I really appreciate you having me on here and giving me the opportunity to talk about the company and what we're doing. I really appreciate that.
yeah. Well, absolutely, man. And again, if you guys are watching this now, make sure to check out overlanderproject.com. It's on Facebook as well as the Overlander Project. They have a YouTube channel as well. That is the Overlander Project. There's some underscores involved in those things. So I will put the links in the description to all of those things. Um, but you can find a lot of this information at overlanderproject.com. So, John, thank you so much. And to everybody else, I really hope that you are living life adventurously. And until next time, I will see you on the trail. All right, guys, I'm
Thank you.
out. All right,
Take
see you
care.
guys.
Bye.
Say bye. If I can figure out how to stop it.
Just throw it in the floor.